Now, you don't need me to tell you this, but there haven't been that many new football boots over the last 2 months for obvious reasons, and Nike and Adidas both put out brand new colorway packs very recently that were supposed to be for Euro 2020. I do plan on reviewing those as soon as I can get my hands on them. Some of them I actually have on the way as we speak, so as soon as I get them, expect some videos on the channel. With that in mind, I figured this would be an interesting opportunity to talk about what's next for Nike football boots. What I love about this channel and what I've maintained since day one is the integrity of the reviews, my ability to say what I truly feel in regards to whatever product it may be, whether it's good or bad, of course with objective reasoning as to why I think something is good or bad. And I think that a lot of people who watch this channel, the consumers, if you will, really do appreciate that brutally honest approach, but that unfortunately is not the case with everybody. There's definitely a contrast in regards to my reviews versus a lot of other information that's out there on the internet. And unfortunately, I guess more so for me than you guys, my relationship with a lot of football boot brands, especially the bigger ones, is maybe not as strong as it could be. This may come as a surprise to you, but I really don't get much support from football boot brands in general. They very rarely send me product. I very, very rarely get any kind of early access to a new product that's coming out, which I would love to have because it allows me to have a review ready for you guys on launch day or something like that. But they don't make that happen more often than not. I very rarely get invited to press events, which would allow for that type of content as well. So for the most part, I'm kind of left on my own to get access to new boots as soon as they become available, and I try to do so as quickly as possible to have that content for you guys. But in general, the brands are definitely not making that easier for me, or facilitating that, I guess is the best way to put it. Either way, as much as they may not like some of the brutally honest opinions that I share, I do know that they watch, and with that in mind, that kind of sparks the idea for this particular video series, where I know that Nike is watching, I know that all the big brands are watching, and I figured it would be a cool idea to kind of share our own opinions in terms of what we as consumers, we as football boot enthusiasts, boot nerds, if you will, would like to see from the future of Nike football. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to share some of my own thoughts and opinions on what I would like to see from Nike football boots in the future. And I would encourage you guys to voice your own personal opinions and requests down below in the comment section, because like I said, I know that the brands watch these videos, so maybe we can have some impact on what the future of these football boots are. There's so many people that complain that they don't like what's coming out. Here is your opportunity to maybe have somewhat of an impact, at least, on what these brands are producing. This is obviously somewhat of an experimental video series on the channel, but if you guys do enjoy this video and perhaps want to see another one focusing on Adidas or Puma or other brands, please support this video with a like. That lets me know that you want to see more. And of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel already and don't want to miss out on weekly videos on everything football boots, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So we'll start with the first model from Nike that's due to be replaced, the Phantom Venom. And I'll say this much before I even start. I am well aware of the leaked information that's out there, but there's only so much that I care to talk about on the internet in the public eye. Like I said, the brands already aren't huge fans of me in certain cases, so I don't want to be talking about leaked information that shouldn't really be out in the public eye anyways. Either way, we have seen pros training in what looks to be the next generation of the Phantom Venom for several months now, and honestly, by now, I did expect the boots to come out. And I was kind of thinking, given the current global situation, maybe that would have been delayed. But given that the new neighborhood pack from Nike just came out and the regular Phantom Venom is included in that pack, that leads me to believe that it was never intended to release by now. They were sending players into the Euro who would normally wear the Venoms in their usual Venoms, which makes sense. I never think it's a good idea for brands to launch brand new boots for pros to be forced to wear in such important matches in an important tournament. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So if I had to guess, by the time the Euro 2020 was supposed to end, it's probably around the time when the next generation of the Venom is going to come out. And I made an entire video dedicated to that particular boot and kind of trying to figure out what they've done there, sharing some theories and stuff like that. And in general, I can't say that I'm like super excited about what I've seen so far. I'm hoping that what they do with the Venom and what they introduced from this concept with the introduction of a striking element, I'm kind of just hoping for a more amplified variation of that from this new Phantom Venom, if I'm being honest. Something more aggressive, something honestly kind of along the lines in terms of like extreme design choices that we saw from Adidas with the Predator 20, which I think has been very well received because of the bold moves that they took. Now, based on these pictures, does it look like they've made a super bold move? No, it kind of just looks like a mercurial variation with an off-centered lacing system. But again, it's fully blacked out. I think the magic with this boot is going to be in regards to the upper, potential added grip on top of that upper, which is all stuff that's very difficult to judge based on pictures of blacked out football boots. So in general, I'm excited to see what they are, but at the same time, I'm not necessarily expecting anything groundbreaking. Which brings us to the second Phantom, the Phantom Vision 2, which, if I'm being honest, seems to be kind of a dying line from the Nike brand. The whole double Phantom concept that they have going on here, I really feel has been in decline because of what Adidas did with the Predator, where you have the Phantom Venom, which is kind of like this hybrid of what they did with the Hyper Venom and the T90 line with the inclusion of a striking element. I don't want to call it a power boot, but it's kind of along those lines from a conceptual standpoint. And then you have the Phantom Vision, which is kind of their control boot, I guess more from a marketing perspective, the true competitor to the Adidas Predator. But what the Pred did is it incorporated elements from basically both of these Phantom lines and ultimately, I think, made a football boot that people are more excited about, and because they're excited about it, more people are willing to give it a chance. Where with the Phantom Vision 2, as good as it is, it's kind of just a very slight refresh of what they did with the original, which already wasn't super well received. The highlight feature here is that internal quad fit system, which ultimately is something that people cannot see, and that matters to the average consumer. They want to be able to see the technology. Even though ACC is really popular, which I know doesn't make any sense, but you get what I'm saying. The texturing on the surface pales in comparison to what Adidas has done with the Predator, especially from an effectiveness standpoint. Again, you consider the average consumer. If they try this on in the store and they try the Preds on in the store, the Pred feels distinctively different compared to everything else, where this just kind of feels like a comfortable sock boot, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I think people are very much over this concept. Nike changed the game in 2014 with the original Magista Obra and Superfly 4, but since then, even though this is better than both of those two boots, it's just a concept that I think they need to do more of to get people excited. So for me, maybe a rebranding back to Magista, or maybe even further back than that to CTR 360 could be a really interesting thing. But in general, I think they just need to do something more. The inclusion of some rubber elements for added grip, kind of along the lines of what they did with the CTR 360. Maybe the return of Kangolite synthetic could be something really interesting. For the most part, I just think that people are kind of over the whole knitted upper thing. Even though Nike does it really well, they do it well on so many different lines that the ones that are clearly the most popular stay the most popular, and then stuff like the Phantom Vision, it kind of ends up falling behind. So if it's going to fall behind being made out of the same material, maybe make it something else to drive more interest. The Nike Tiempo Legend 8 Elite, another boot that probably has a good year left in its life cycle before we get the Legend 9, which I'm assuming is going to be a thing. My issue with this boot, and I'm not the only person with this opinion, is that it's maybe a little bit over complex for a Tiempo, where it performs the part, it's very comfortable, it fits extremely well, it's lightweight, it does everything you would want a football boot to do. The kangaroo leather feels very soft on the surface despite having this unnecessary texturing, but when it comes to touch on the ball, it just doesn't feel as special as some of the past Tiempos have. And I think what I'd like to see from the Tiempo Legend 9, as much as I know that the Tiempo is about this combination of classic kangaroo leather and modern technology, I really feel like the technology should be dialed back a little bit on the next generation of Tiempo, because again, they've incorporated that internal quad fit system, which is shared with the Phantom Vision. And I think when you compare these two boots, more people would probably have this over this, but at the same time, there's really not much of a reason to pick one over the other because the touch on the ball isn't as impacted by the kangaroo leather as it should. So personally, I think that going back to something more along the lines of what they were doing with the Nike Tiempo Legend 5, maybe a little bit more traditional than what they've done here. I don't think there needs to be any form of knitted material whatsoever. And I think that they need to appeal to the long-time Tiempo wearer, which is where they're getting away from things. I don't think that there's too many kids in the younger generation that are going to be convinced that a Tiempo is the boot for them. So the appeal of this boot has to be to the dedicated Tiempo consumer, and I don't think that this is necessarily what they wanted. For me, I'd like to see something more traditional, and I think a lot of people watching this video would probably agree with me. Which brings us to the big one, the Nike Mercurial, the Superfly, and the Vapor. Again, relatively new releases, even though it seems like we've had 100 colorways at this point. But this is a football boot that probably won't change until at least 2021. We'll see what happens with that. The question is, where does Nike go from here? Because as I've talked about many times in videos of mine, I really think that this is as close to a 10 out of 10 as the Mercurial has ever been, if I'm being honest. There's very little for me to criticize, which is in stark contrast to all the other boots. Because while I think everything Nike makes right now is pretty well-rounded from a performance standpoint, there is room for improvement. Where with this, given the concept that they've gone for with this knitted upper, there's not much that I would change about it. So I'm very curious to see what's next. I'm going to lead with the argument that I've been making for several years now, basically since Superfly 6 and Vapor 12, and that is that the Superfly and the Vapor should be two different products, as they have been for the first 5 generations that included a Superfly. So for me, having two boots that are different not only allows for more variety, but I also think it allows Nike more freedom to play around with something that is maybe a little bit more bold from, I guess, a conceptual standpoint. Because what they've done here with the Superfly 7 and the Vapor 13 is they've basically evolved since the Superfly 4 into these eventual products. And I really feel like this is kind of the full potential of the Flyknit sock concept, which there's nothing wrong with. I know that I've been of the opinion that if it's not broken, don't fix it, but that's definitely not Nike's mentality, especially when it comes to the Mercurial line. This has remained popular for so many years because of what it represents for football boot tech. It's always pushing the limit of what's possible and always introducing new things, kind of forcing other brands to change along with them. So for me, I would like to see the Superfly maintain some form of a knitted upper, because at this point in time, it's kind of become the industry standard in the speed boot category. And I think there's a lot of people that would be truly upset if there wasn't a next generation Mercurial that features some kind of a knitted material. With that said, I think there's a lot of people, including myself, that would love to see the return of Teijin synthetic, or at the very least, a synthetic material that isn't knit for the Mercurial Vapor, as it was all the way up to Vapor 11. Because again, while I think this is a really good football boot, I don't think that the knitted upper offers the same touch, feel, and general experience as a thin Teijin synthetic. And if you consider the Teijin synthetic uppers used from Vapor 8 all the way to Vapor 11, they were all really good, and I still think are up to the same standard from a touch, comfort, responsiveness, and feel standpoint as this knitted upper, as great as it is. So for me, I'd love to see some innovation there. I know that Nike in their Innovation Summit, yet to be released by the way, I'm excited about this one as well, that Air Zoom Mercurial thing that they showed, which has a 3D printed textile upper, that potentially could be the future of the Mercurial line, both Vapor and Superfly. But in a perfect world, let's say that upper is hypothetically really good and kind of like a better variation of Teijin synthetic, I'd like to see a Vapor in that material and a Superfly with a knitted upper with a mid-cut design if they want to include that as well, because that kind of has been an identity of the Superfly model at this point in time. Either way, I'm very curious to see where they're going to go, and I'm a little bit skeptical as to whether or not they can actually improve from a performance standpoint on these two boots. For me, if I had to take this platform and improve upon it, I really think that the only thing that they could do realistically is make them lighter. Beyond that, there's nothing else to change, but I know they'll change them. The question is, will they screw it up? And those are pretty much my thoughts on what's next for Nike football boots, or at the very least, what I'm hoping to see. Some basic criticism on the boots that they have on offer right now, and little changes that I think they should make to end up with better products and or more interesting products. So again, Nike, if you're watching, information for you, totally free. Do with it what you want. And again, guys, feel free to share your own opinions and just general thoughts on the future of Nike football boots down below in the comments. Because again, I know they watch these videos, and I know that this feedback could potentially be valuable to a designer, to the brand in general. I just think it's a cool way for us to voice our opinions on behalf of the boot enthusiast community. So if you guys enjoyed this video and perhaps want to see more like it, please support this one with a like. It helps me out tremendously. If you have any questions regarding stuff that I talked about in this video, feel free to leave that down below in the comments as well. If you're not subscribed to the channel and don't want to miss out on weekly content on everything football boots, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked to down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.